Hello, this is the Metaway. Today we're gonna be doing Steel with Carl. Heavy player,
Hello.
Platinum. Yes. So yeah, let's just start. When defending the A point, you usually want to have people sort of a little bit separated because the A point is not really too useful to. It's not very defendable. Like it's very easy for the offensive team to overtake. So you generally don't want to commit too many people here. You want to make sure you stay alive for the B hold, which is much better. So usually for when holding A as on defense, you have your combo holding up here. That's usually the most common spot. No heavy pyro demo, medic. You don't commit at all. You might depends on what your team wants to do, but you might want to have your sniper, soldier maybe hiding around here. Well, Carl will talk more about that later. NG, scout, maybe sniper too. Depends again on what your team likes to do. You want to have people on B. The spy can do several things. Yeah, you want to have people on B to make sure that the offensive team can't just go through and cap E and just win really quickly. If the people on B call that their combos coming here, like the medic demo and other classes, you're gonna have your combo rotate, and then your flank might want to slightly contest A, but again, that's optional. Yep, can talk about classes now if you want. Let me just go there.
Alright. Usually you'll have your... I'll wait until you get here.
Alright. Here.
Usually you'll have your demo just sort of setting up top here, spamming over this hill. And then oftentimes you'll have the heavy sort of right next to him, spy checking in, just making sure he doesn't get rushed. And then the medic can be sort of sitting back by spawn, making sure you don't get forced. And then the demo, something they can try is just running back, grabbing the resupply locker, and then running back to the hill to keep spamming. That way they can just keep spamming and putting as much pressure over the hill as possible, because that's where a lot of teams tend to push you. There's not a whole lot of good trap spots other than just sort of right on top of the doors. Something you can try is having your soldier hide up in these ledges by the point, and then oftentimes what works for teams is having their sniper just initially sort of be peeking out from behind these rocks, see if they can just win a quick sniper duel with the enemy team, or maybe snipe their demo or whatever is peeking out of spawn. But after taking one or maybe two shots, you should try to fall back and just make sure you're alive to defend B. But overall at this point, you just want to make sure you're putting out pressure with your demo, but making sure the demo and the rest of the combo classes are staying alive and able to back out and defend B. But something to keep in mind is if they're only committing a few classes to try to pressure you out of A, feel free to sort of come out more as a combo and sort of just clear them off the point if it looks like that'll be an easy thing to do. For example, if they only have their soldier and their scout capping, that can be something you can try to sort of being more aggressive and stopping A altogether. But oftentimes they'll send most of their team, and then it's just the best option would be to just back out and be ready to hold B. Usually on B, initially what you want to be doing while your team still has A, oftentimes the NG will be set up with his level 3 in sort of a spot like this, so it sort of locks down the entrance to the B point, and then you can have your pyro or maybe a few other random flank classes, just sort of depends on your own team. You can have the scout or soldier just sort of floating around, making sure your engineer doesn't get harassed by spies or the other team. But in general, you just want a few people just playing defensive on B, making sure that your NG is alive and set up for when your team rotates and you have your main B hold.
Yep, and the flank classes can really play within, like maybe your scout might want to just hold on A because they can get out quicker than other classes, or so they can play with him, etc.
All in all, the main goal is just make sure you're not getting picked off, either as one of the initial B classes or some of the initial A holders.
This goes for everybody on defense. Just dying on defense is a really big deal, because in Steel, I think it's a longer respawn than on most other stopwatch maps. It's about 20 seconds respawn time, like 15 to 20, which is like 5 seconds longer than on most other stopwatch maps. So, just try not to die. It's pretty much any class on defense. for defending B, you want to have your combo rotate back from A, just go through spawn here and back into this area next to the wall. This is where you want to have most of your combo be playing when defending the B point. As for your flank, since they will most some of them were most likely gonna be playing next to the NG while you had A, just kind of protecting him as we talked about earlier. When this happens, you wanna have your combo, told, or your main color really should be the one saying, no, we're going back to B. At that point, you want your scout and soldier to go back to E, just trying to softly hold it. Playing around here can be pretty good because you're not committed at all, and you can spot anyone that's trying to go through either to the E back there, or just try to get on the E point. The flank's main job is just to let the rest of the team know what's going on the other side. As for everybody back on B, that means you want to have everybody else, like the scout and soldier, I would say. Spike can wander around somewhere on A2 if necessary, but the rest of your team should be here, including, Demo, Heavy, Medic, Pyro, Sniper, NG.
For a more in-depth look at what your combo should be doing while holding B, something you really want to focus on is having your demo keeping forward spam and just sort of trying to make sure that your demo's locking down this choke for the most part. That's the biggest thing to focus on with your demo. With your medic, you just want to make sure you're getting the heals out to the demo, and your heavy and other classes as well should just try to be forward and support your demo so they can keep blocking them out. Because just sort of holding them at the choke, that'll allow you to really extend your hold on B, and then it'll allow you to be safer as well while you're holding. One thing to think about as other classes is just to be aware of spies. And on B especially, this is where the communication starts to become really important. So making sure that your combo and your main color are really paying attention to what your flank classes are combing, and that you're not sort of breaking down and not playing together or reacting to what they're saying. So that's a big thing to think about while you're holding B. But other than sort of focusing on keeping forward pressure, that sort of opens up a few different options for your engineer. A lot of these spots that you can build level 3s they're pretty much all good. It just sort of depends on the team and what works for you guys. One option that is pretty popular is having the sentry on forward here. That can really help support your demo and keep them locked out. And then it can take the brunt of the enemy's Uber as they pop in through the choke there, and then your combo can just back out and then repush. The main drawback of this spot is that it's fairly easy for the spy to sap it, and it can be spammed from multiple angles. So that's the main problem with that spot. Another option is to build it back here, sort of on the point. This also helps to support the demo, but it gives you a little bit better protection from spies. However, the main problem with this spot is that you have to be wrangling it at all times for it to be able to support and spam into the choke. So it's harder for your NG to actually be providing support, but the gun does stay up more easily. Another option to think about is just sort of a more traditional spot of having the level 3 just back here on this little balcony. One of the benefits of this spot is that it's very easy to keep up, and it can be sort of a backstop for your combo if they need a backup. The only problem with this spot is that it tends to cause your team to just sort of fall back and then be half committed to holding B and just sort of be sitting next to the gun. That'll cause your NG and your combo to be spammed from the same sickies coming in.
Yeah,
and then also it's pretty easy to be sapped.
Just allows the offensive team a lot of room. Like you give them all of this lower area with cover, that them can just span. So,
yep,
and you have to wrangle it to not do that. And if you're wrangling, you're more open to spies generally, and just less aware of things.
Yep.
You're
so
focusing on shooting.
Usually, for the most part, this sort of passive spot here is not the best option, but it can work differently for different teams.
Yep.
And then sort of the final option is to run mini sentries. This is something that can work if your engineer has a strong shotgun DM, or you just want to try to have a more aggressive hold as a team. You can be placing minis all around these sort of catwalks here, or on the side and wrangling down. But what allows that, or the benefits of running these mini sentries is allows you to have like a more aggressive forward presence with your hold, and if you do it correctly, you can keep them locked out of the choke as effectively as minis, but it also allows your engineer to be more mobile with who he's helping out. However, you won't have a level 3 to fall back to sort of defend against an Uber, so just try out different options if you like what they'll be giving you, and it just sort of depends on the team, which option works best.
As a sniper, I would say you're the second most important class on B. Usually a Steel is not regarded as, you know, the best sniper map because it's so close quarters, or most of it is. But on B, you have a really good sideline here. And just staying alive, being aware of the spy timing, and getting buffs can be really important for your team.
Another thing to think about from the sniper's perspective is just making sure you're alive, because your presence will sort of help convince the offensive team that it's very hard for them to push through this choke if there's just a sniper dot sitting on the wall, and so they'll be more inclined to pop early, and then you guys will have a better Uber exchange.
Another thing I kind of want to mention is that your demo might also wanna, if you have like a sniper and a gun, just kind of keep him in the back. Your demo might want to spam maybe some pillows or something around this area, around this balcony, because if the offensive team, if they get any kind of setup, you're like, you know, by setup I mean just having classes sort of standing around here shooting you, can be really effective for them because, you know, they have high ground. If a sniper gets here, for example, like, you know, you can shoot from these little windows here. It can just be really effective for them. So just kind of making sure that you have that spam. You might want to wrangle your sentry there as well. Your sniper might want to be looking there too if necessary. Just another thing to kind of focus on, those two openings for the offensive team. You want to keep spamming. As for the people on E, kind of just quickly go over that again. I'd say there are two positions here as well that you kind of want to play on. The one I mentioned earlier near the balcony, near the spawn, which is a little bit safer because, you know, you have the resupply next to you. Another one, if you wanna commit maybe a little bit more, can be just inside here. Another thing you can kind of take advantage of is if on B, if the offensive team is just kind of holding back around the lower area, if they were pushed back near the drop-down area, if A is clear as a scout or soldier, you have an opening to go through drop-down and try to flank, which can be really effective. If you come that you're doing it, so the rest of your team on B could get a little more aggressive, and, you know. But
The big thing with that sort of aggressive flank play is to make sure that you're timing it correctly, and so communicating with your combo is very important. Usually the best time for you guys to go in for a flank play like that would be right after an Uber exchange.
Yep. Generally, otherwise you just want to stay alive, because keeping eyes on this corridor can be really good. If you notice that their combo goes through here to E, again, as I said earlier, you just want to back up, wait for the rest of your team, make sure you don't die, and then when the rest of your team kind of rotates to contest E, that's when you want to start picking as well. Another important thing I want to mention from that too is, you know, if the offensive team, instead of pushing B, they go to E, you want to have your combo either going in through main like this, and have your flank, soldier, scout, and other classes peeking from spawn. Like, it's really important to have sort of two places to be peeking from, because so they can't just spam you with one. Do you think there's anything else we should mention, like one to defend E from B?
Yes. One more thing to think about as you're trying to defend A to E sort of rush play from offense is, as a combo especially, it's very important that you do not overcommit, and a main thing that you can leverage to your advantage is if your demo just sort of sits passively here and just spams the point, because after they cap A, the bridges don't go out, and after they cap B, the bridges don't go out. So as long as you have control over this area here and you're able to spam the point, you'll be able to really stop them from capping at all.
You don't really have to focus the combo if they're like next to your spawn, for example. Like, as long as you're killing the people that are capping, which mainly would probably mean the scout and soldier, because no other class can really jump like that. You know, as long as you're killing them, it really doesn't matter if they're stopping you from peeking from the other side.
Exactly, and a big thing to just make sure you don't overcommit and you don't get picked off as a combo. And even if you have uber disadvantage and you're sitting here, just make sure your pyro's ready in this spot, because if they try to uber into you, you can just sort of air blast them all into the pit, and then it'll just totally destroy their push.
So once your V-hold breaks down, you really want to back up a little bit early, so you kind of have two options to back up from. You can either go back to spawn through here, and if you're inside spawn, you get back spawn to the second defense spawn. Let's just quickly show it. Spawn over there. Spawn back here. Even when they cap the B point, is when you back spawn. So if you're inside spawn, you know, just get back, and if you're a medic, that also includes your uber. Like you don't lose the uber by back spawning like that. So it's definitely something you wanna be aware of. Like it's an option. Any class can do that, or you know you can just back up through this connector here, back to C. As for the C point, there are a few different holds that some teams like to use. When backing up out of B, for example, you might want to maybe contest it a little bit here just to slow them down, you know, get a few seconds, but it's usually safer to just back up into the C area. So I would say there are like maybe two sort of holds, 2 or 3. You know, I don't think there's even a standard one, I would say. There's like different things you can do, like your demo can play around here and spam the C gate, put a trap over there. Your medic can stand around this corridor. Or no, your combo in general might want to hang around there. They can hang around here as well, near this bridge. Depends on where your gun is too, like how your team positions themselves. Or they can just hang around a little bit closer to the point. On this ramp, or around the point like this. As for... did you want me to like talk about this whole point and then you talk about the other classes on the other point? Is that what we said?
Yeah, like you talk about everything that's going to be going on
Right.
the C point itself.
Okay. Yeah. So, start again. Or not start again, but continue. As for more specifics on each hold, depends on where your gun is, as I said. There's a few different gun spots you can have. The one I see more common is on this bridge. The main problem with this, as we kinda like similar problem to the B on the wooden platform, is that you have to wrangle it for it to be effective at all. It's easy to keep up because as an NG, you know, you can just hold around this corner here and rescue range it / wrangle it, and if you're down with ammo, you can quickly go back to the resupply and build it again or repair it, give that ammo, etc. But again, it doesn't really actively contest them. Another gun spot you might want to try as well is just where the combo, or where I've also mentioned the combo can be, just on this platform. This denies a little bit more, I would say, but it can get a little bit more easily spammed because your sentry can't see on this area below. But you know, if your combos here, they should be able to contest that. So that's something you might want to try too. Minis can be good on this spot as well because there's a lot of ammo. There's a big ammo pack here. So you could have like a dispenser, etc., and keep building minis up. That allows you to be more aggressive, peek around more, be more mobile, as we talked about on B2, on minis. So that's one option your NG has. Another option is to just go to E or helping the flank. It doesn't just have to be on C. Again, it depends on how your team wants to play it, based on your positioning. But yeah. As for other holes, as I said earlier, your demo can be around here. I think having a trap on either the C gate, which is that, or this connector area, is pretty important because that allows him to stop the push from both sides, sort of. I think I focus the one that's more important, where they're coming from. For the sniper, it's pretty common for them to play around C because they're generally more protected being next to the combo, and they can get buffed as well to fight the other sniper. Usually you kind of want to focus on looking at the C gate because that's where snipers will probably go. And you just fighting the sniper is pretty important because that allows you to just with your presence to just sort of delay them and stop them, make them pop over early, etc. But yeah, just playing next to the combo is gonna be pretty good. I kind of want to emphasize too, in general on C, is that playing closer to spawn, like playing on this side of the point, is generally safer and probably better, I would say, because that allows you to just rotate a little bit quicker depending on the cuts from your flank.
To continue off this sort of main C hold, this is sort of where things sort of split off between your main force of your combo and then your flank. And then oftentimes, while your combo's on C, you'll have your flank roaming around in different spots. Some options for your soldier is to sort of be up by these rocks, watching the gate. Another strong thing that your team can be doing is you can have your flank just essentially not rotate off of their sort of control room hold, which is this area is normally called control. If they're holding here during your B hold, they can just sort of continue holding this area and just making sure they're relaying info on what's coming here, and just making sure that they're staying alive and just denying people from flanking and just getting cap time on E. Staying here as flank can be very strong because of the information you can provide and just denying offense space.
Coming is, I would say, is the most important thing that you should do as a flank class on this map overall.
Yep, exactly. So just making sure everyone's calm in Mumble or TeamSpeak and that they're just communicating what needs to be said so everybody's on the same page. Another thing that your flank can do is just sort of be rotating all around pretty much everywhere and just sort of free roaming. Oftentimes you want to have maybe your scout just sort of being defensive by control, getting info, but then you could have your soldier really being sort of an aggressive flanker. Because of all the narrow corridors, the soldier can do a lot of damage based on the information that he's getting, because he can flank through the gate on C, or he can flank through this hallway. So just sort of depending on what your team wants to be doing and how confident your flank feels, they can either be sort of just more defensive and supportive to your combo, or they can be an aggressive, like...
Yeah, take advantages of situations.
Yep. And just sort of press openings and try to get everything out of the hole that you can. Both approaches work pretty well. I'm usually a fan of a more defensive flank, but both can work depending on the team. Some options for engineer that can work pretty well is just sort of once you lose B, you can have the engineer just sort of back up and start building up here to have his gun watching E point. If you position it correctly, you can sort of be sealed off and avoid the sniper sightline from that window. Another option is to be over in the control room with your flank and have a dispenser and a sentry gun, so you just sort of have a area of control over here that's pretty solid with the sentry. That can be very strong for setting up later holds.
Something you want to be aware of
over here
as a flank class in general, like NG Scout Soldier, is to be aware of the spy, because the spy, it can be pretty good for an offensive spy to just kind of peek on the flank, because that allows them more room, like more options. So as an NG, if you're holding D, for example, just make sure, you might want to just hold in an unexpected area if if your sentry is not being attacked. For example, if you have a level 3, just playing, like, for example, on this little, I don't know, computer thing, I don't know. So, like, just keep watching for spies is the main thing I want to say. That includes soldiers and scouts as well.
Yep, and one last thing to focus on as you're sort of getting into the later stages of this map, the cap time really ramps up every point you lose, and it can get up to like almost 30-second respawn time. So just making sure that you're never dying, and you're just always being alive. And the thing to achieve that is just to make sure you're working with your flank buddy, and not taking 1v1s, and just making sure you're not trading when it's not advantageous, or if you're trading for a class that doesn't matter that much.
So after B gets capped, the map becomes more fluid in general. There are more strategies that the offensive team can use, and that as a defensive team you can use as well. I would say the best option though is to just react to what they're doing. have your combo meet their combo. For example, if they're pressuring this control room, your flank comes in, you know, they stay alive, they back up. Then as a combo, you want to rotate from C to meet them. That you have 3 different ways you can go. You can rotate through spawn to D, you know, then they go into control and fight it from this side. If you do that, you just have to be a little bit aware, have someone watching the A, because someone might be able to just flank you like this and not shoot you in the back. Yeah, one thing you want to watch out for if you're holding this area is that sniper. He can peek from that sniper window, look into the floor. It's kind of a weird angle, but you know, just be aware of that. Another option you have as a combo for rotating from C is just going through spawn and then to E, to these doors. You know, shooting from spawn here, shooting the point or the combo. It's an option, or just going in through main from C like this. That's also another option you have. You know, just do what's better in the situation. Try out different strategies and see what works better for you. But the rotating is key in this map after the B is capped. As I said earlier, you just want to have your combo, contest their combo, not give up any unnecessary ground. Make sure you play the time. For example, if there's little time left, you might just want to give up C and go to control or to E, to like this area. No, just focus on, like, think about what they need to win and try to stop that pretty much as a defensive team. So as you're biking up from C, you want to defend both D and E simultaneously by doing a holding control.
For the hold and control, this hold itself is probably one of the stronger holds in the game. Really allows you to be really dynamic in your defense. You can lock out offensive players coming from A towards you from that direction. Allows you to sort of spam the point here from their back if they're expecting you to come from the spawn door. And then you're also sort of in this big hallway with full health pack, and you're pretty safe for the most part. It just allows you to sort of back up if they're pushing you, and then sort of press into them if they leave themselves exposed. The main thing to think about here is having your med, demo, heavy, and pyro usually are the classes you'll want here. Usually the biggest thing to watch out for is if you're trying to spam forward and then something flanks you from A, so just being aware of the different angles. Another thing that can really stop this hold is the spy coming in. Just making sure people are aware of the spy and aware of where their team's coming from. That's a big thing for you guys to be calling, so your flank knows, like if their combo's on A, and that's a big thing to be listening to your flank for if your flank's saying where their team is pushing from. Just making sure you're calm, aware of how they're moving around the map, and just able to react to that. If you're holding here, usually you want to be watching out for that sniper sightline from the window. Usually you don't want to commit and sort of peek this unless they're actually getting cap time, because as long as you just sort of have control of control and you're able to just sort of sit here, the only reason you should really risk giving that up to spam and fight them is if they're actually threatening to win. So just making sure you're staying alive, because at this point, once C's capped, the respawns will be like 25 seconds long. It's just 100% making sure you're alive is very important, and just putting pressure where it's needed and not overcommitting. If you have Uber advantage, you just want to be very careful about sort of popping into them. It's oftentimes better if you just sit on your Uber and just have it as an option in case something goes south unexpectedly. It's better to sort of have that in your back pocket, because oftentimes you can defend without needing to use Uber. Just making sure you're staying alive, keeping control of this area, and not really like overcommitting. Another thing to think about is if they have advantage and they're pushing from A, or they're pushing across here towards you in control, feel free to just sort of back up, give it up, and sort of have everyone sort of fall back towards D, because you can play from the high ground here. It's very defendable because they have to come through just these little chokes here, and then you can fall back into a resupply room very easily. Then you're also from the high ground, you have cover, so just making sure you're falling back and not taking fights that you can't win That can be really good because it'll delay them and give you a chance to get Uber, and it'll just help you stay alive and burn time off the clock. If they're capping D, it's fine to just sort of back off to spawn and then re-push into them once you get your Uber. It can be very good to just have people pressuring from multiple angles all around and just sort of pinch them off the point. And then once you sort of push them back, it's fine to just retake around and sort of reset your hold. But all in all, you just want to be really focused on staying calm and communicating with your flank and making sure everyone's on the same page and aware of where they're pushing from. Because just being aware of where the other team is and reacting to that is usually the biggest determination of how successful your steal defense will be, especially at this point. If you're playing it right, this defense can last for a very long time, and you can see 10-15 minute cap times. So just make sure you don't bleed players and you just play collected and just sort of in a blob, and you just move around together and you just deal with the problems as they present.
As for the flank, I would say that at this point there are a lot of things you can do. Like, you can do whatever you think is best at the situation. There's no really set hold for your flank to be anywhere. You can just kind of wander around, call out positions of players, try to go for a play if you see an opening, or you can just play a little bit more passive as well, like near the spawn, for example. You might, maybe helping your NG here, try to spam the point from a different angle that your combo is. One big thing that you actually want to take care of as a spy or a scout, I would say, are the classes that can deal with it the best, would be to just flank around A here, and if there's Leopard's in window, to just kill him and deny this position, because it can be really effective for anyone trying to shoot the point. He can just stop it by himself, by his presence here. So making sure that this area is clear is pretty important, as well as receiving comms from your combo towards where their players are. As a combo class, you can call anything through this Windows connector. You can let anyone know if anyone's going C. If anyone's going C, for example, you might want to go meet them, contest them through spawn, near the spawn, because maybe if you're losing the fight, you can just go resupply, and just calling positions is really important. Don't let anyone flank your combo through these connectors, if it's called. If their combo is holding near this main connector area, one good thing you can do as a soldier, for example, is go through the C gates there, or as a scout too, like just jump up there and flank from behind. Just being aware of where the enemy players are, and try to play with the rest of your flank. Come what you're gonna do, come what you're doing. Try to coordinate something with your spy as well. Can be pretty good.
Another thing to focus on is E takes a while to cap, so not panicking that they're getting time on it and just making sure that you have a coordinated reaction to their push is usually the best option, rather than just sort of panicked flinging your body at the point to try to slow it down. Just sort of taking time and getting an organized fight to the point will almost always work out better.
For offense, you generally want to push A first with your main force. Almost everyone should go to A. You might want to have them be your spy, scout, soldier, or some other class that wants to go to B, just to kind of pressure there. But you should focus on controlling A first. Your heavy demo can come out of the spawn here. Watch for traps being above this door. Watch for a spy maybe hiding on this little roof here. They can also hide up here. But yeah, just watch for those things. Kind of shoot their combo there and make sure they shouldn't back. And you're contesting them while the rest of your team caps the point. Once there's enough cap time, they will probably just start backing up. So at that point, you want to start rotating back through spawn, because it's usually safer instead of going through E. Have your medic probably stay in spawn just to make sure he doesn't get forced. But as a combo, yeah, demo heavy, and some of the classes maybe, rotating through spawn can be really safe. But from spawn, you just kind of want to start peeking through this corridor area. One thing you want to watch out for is the sniper being either back there near the sign, or up there where Carl is. You can look through this window all the way back up to here, like you can barely see his face over there. I know it's a really insane sightline that you kind of have to watch out for. You're, having a Fist of Steel heavy, just kind of picking this, looking for trap as well, is something you want to do. Another thing you might kind of watch out for is a soldier hiding up here, up on this little. You can hide up on these things, or anything hiding on these random corners. Just make sure you cover everything as you go through. And once you're through, if your flank, for example, went through E, or they're near drop down, they're already committed, or something similar, if your flank, depends on whether your flank is coming, you want to push maybe different ways. You can go through that lower upper area, which I would say is probably the safest ways to push from. Just Uber up under here, and you already have a little bit of high ground. You probably want to drop down and force them, have an Uber exchange. Have everybody else kind of stay back and go after the Uber is over. Have an after Uber fight. Your Spite might want to step the sentry, or call that he's behind, go for a stab, etc. You just want to have everyone fight at the same time, pretty much.
Some of the main sort of specific strategies for B pushes is to just sort of try to work your way out through this hallway by sort of just tanking your sniper and having them try to kill their sniper or kill their demo. And then once you get a pick, just sort of walking forward and trying to get through the choke and sort of up to here before you have to use into them, because that'll allow you to have a much better Uber. Another option, like Meadowy said just a second ago, is to just come drop down from here and Uber into them. Oftentimes that works as well as another option, but just trying to be pressuring forward. If you're pushing through this lower area, a good thing to have happen at the same time is to have your flank, or just one, maybe two classes be pressuring from the top.
So with the sniper and soldier would be the most effective shooting from there.
Yep. Another option that your flank can be doing at this time is pressuring from behind. If they go A and then pass E and then start pressuring B from behind, that can also be an effective option. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure your combo and your flank are sort of syncing up their push, and so you pinch them on B. That can be really strong to just sort of create confusion and split their attention, so you can oftentimes get in closer with your combo before you Uber, and then just overall have a better Uber exchange. And then if they try to back out, you'll have your flank behind them to sort of pick off stragglers. But oftentimes, just making sure that you're spamming forward and just really pressuring forward. And once you're sort of breaking down their hole, just making sure you get forward and really lock out this area so they can't recontest, and just sort of keep them locked in these little doors. One thing to keep in mind as you're pushing up is a heavy or a sniper or just any random class being in this window shooting down on you. So oftentimes it's a good idea to sort of hug this wall here and then just have a flank class or two start getting on the point and just trying to get cap time so they don't recontest, and just making sure that you push them out and you keep them locked out here.
So after capping B, there's technically two ways you can push C from here, but this C gate here is usually closed, and it takes a very long time for it to open. It opens very slowly, so I would suggest to just try pushing through connector here. If their combo's contesting you actively, it's fine to just Uber in, and then once the C gate's open, you might want to have a scout, soldier, etc., or maybe a sniper peek through there, just sort of attack from two different ways. Try to focus fire everyone here, because they will most likely be a little bit more split than you. Kinda depends on how your team plays it, but that's sort of the goal. Just focus fire people, pinching their team, attacking from different ways. So after you get the corridor and you want to start pressuring E, just make sure you're going quickly here, because you don't want to be in this height disadvantage. Focus fire people, shoot their combo if they're up there. Make sure after you get through this area, make sure you have someone locking them out of spawn. You demo and put sticky traps there, or if it's a little bit late, maybe just kind of hold a bit back. But just making sure they can't come back and contest you. It's pretty important. Have other people capping while you're demo, or anyone else who's alive here contesting them. As a flank class, when your team is pushing C, another option you have is pressure E, the E point. Scout, soldier can get on point, divert their attention. You're gonna force some people to rotate to deal with you. At that point, you can either sort of try to have them chase you to control and maybe try to get a kill there, take advantage of the health pack and stuff. Or you can just back off, let your team, let the rest of your team know that that's happening. So, if they push to C, they might outnumber them depending on who they send.
Once you've broken their C hold and you're getting cap time and you're getting ready to push D, something to be ready for is if you get a bunch of kills on your C push, to try to just sort of rush your way past their spawn really quickly, sort of even as you're finishing the C cap, because if you do it quickly, they'll still all be on their like 20-second plus spawns, and you can just sort of shoot on by to D and just get in there really quickly and start capping it instantly. Just those really quick turnaround caps can start causing confusion for them and just really picks up the pace for your guys' overall cap time. But that's sort of a risky play because you're going right past their spawn doors. So that's something you can try to avoid if they already have people spawned or if you didn't get a bunch of kills on C. Otherwise, that can be a good option. Another thing you can try for pushing D is if you just sort of reset and people died on C but you got the cap, oftentimes it would be best to just sort of have a teleporter going towards A and just sort of rotate the main force of your pushes for the rest of the round to just be coming into control here. And oftentimes you'll have to have a Uber exchange or a combo fight here in a control or as you push farther in on D itself. And something you can try is sending your heavy through this sort of corridor to help split up the fire and allow your demo and heavy to be pressuring D. Other than that, you just want to try to push them back from control and just get space to get into D and E. Oftentimes what will end up happening is you'll have to just rush their demo with a few classes, and it's fine if one or two people die instantly to a trap, but as long as you just sort of rush into their demo, it'll cause them to all back up as a team, and oftentimes you'll be able to pick the demo because usually the demo will be the farthest class forward and being aggressively spamming, and so you can try to catch the demo off guard and then just use that momentum to push them back to D. Overall, once you've sort of broken their DE hold and taken over connector, or control rather, oftentimes you'll want to be pressuring D because once you cap D, E is just almost essentially a guarantee at that point. So something you can try, if you get a bunch of kills as you're pushing into D, just leave one or two people to cap D and then rotate the main force of your team to E, assuming like you got a bunch of kills and so they're mostly all dead. And just getting cap time on both points at the same time will sort of split up the reaction because it won't always be clear which point they'll be defending and when. And then another good thing about that is you'll have presence on D, so if they come out of their spawn and try to come down to fight E, you'll have people there to slow them down at least, if not just sort of win the fight if one or two people come out alone. And then once you've sort of broken through D, you're either capping D or have already capped it, and you also have people starting to cap E. One thing to worry about is their demo especially coming through lower and sort of spamming the point. So oftentimes what can be good is to have a heavy or demo just sort of sitting in this corridor here, denying them from pushing up from D, and then they're also able to just sort of drop straight down. Oops, I found the hole, but you can just drop straight down there if you line it up correctly, and you can just be right in the face of whatever's contesting. You just want to be ready to stop their repush and get as much cap time as fast as you can.
Another thing you're gonna have to watch out for is for if their pyro or demo or other classes go through main, just have people looking around like around the entrances. Just don't have everyone focus on one side, have people look to the side as well. And behind like a spy can come in as here as well. Just try to keep in mind, look at all the entrances. But generally, the pressure you put out when you're capping the point is enough to allow you to win the round if you're at that point of just having to cap E. Having a sniper up there is really effective. If you're pushing A, he will most likely have cover from there. Like maybe the spy would be the other one that can kill him. So just play off your sniper as well. take advantage of the picks he gets on the room he gives you. A thing you have to keep in mind as a team is that your medic, I would recommend your medic for both offense and defense to mainly just use Uber. Crits can be effective if you think you can catch him off guard, but generally I would say Uber is the best in this map. On defense, I would probably tend to favor, well, not really tend to favor, like it can be a little bit better crits on defense than on offense, but I would still just recommend almost full-time Uber. If you just have a few seconds left, or you need, an Uber crits or whatever, a little bit faster, and just kind of piling out on point, you might want to go crits at that point, but generally Uber is better. So just try to stick to that on both offense and defense. So now I'm just going to go over some soldier hiding spots, other random things like that, but no. So now I'm just going to go over some random soldier spots. So now I'm just going to go over some hiding spots for soldiers. I kind of mentioned this quickly earlier, but you can hide up on this little light up here. You can kind of sink a rocket see when dropping down. To kill a medic like that, you can also hide up on this upper lamp outside. It's a little bit higher up, but that allows you to just kind of drop down quicker. If you hide there and no one checks that, you will definitely catch a medic off guard. So yeah, those are two hiding spots over there. Another kind of thing you can do as a soldier, as some other classes, to just kind of hide here. If you are losing B, maybe like your team wiped or something, but you're alive, you can hide up on this little thing, drop down as they're walking forward, try to time it correctly, and feel like they're medic from there, and that can be a good play. On this other side of the point, if you're holding this connector, like your team is holding B, and you kind of want to hold this, there's also a spot you can do up here. If anything's trying to flank or get on E, you can just kind of shoot it from above you. They won't expect it. We also kind of mentioned this spot earlier when talking about defense. You can hide on this little ledges here. You can hide in the corner like this. I think they can see your feet, but if you're quick enough, you can just kind of drop down and shoot them like that. For NGs, one thing I want to mention is that tellies can be really important on offense to direct where your team will go. So, say your team is pushing B, or sorry, no, they're pushing C, and where they have control of B. A really good thing to do is just put a telly on B, because that's where you want your main combo classes to go to. So they can take advantage of like a telly here. But use it along with wherever your main color is calling to direct where your team is going. So if you're pushing C, you can do that. If you're pushing control, for example, or you're pushing D after having C, I think that's the way I would suggest going. Is putting a telly here, as Kyle kind of mentioned earlier too. Just use teleporters to direct where your team will go. And you want to follow your main color's plan using tellies. Same on defense too. Although on defense, teleporters are usually less used because you respawn a lot less. But if you have time and metal to do it, there's no reason not to. Just put wherever your team or your main force will be. But I would say on offense, teleporters are a little bit more crucial to that, because it will guide your team, as I've already said multiple times, but yeah, it will guide your team where to go. So yeah, synergy, that's something you really want to keep in mind and try to keep tellies up. As for sniper sightlines in this map, there aren't that many that are like really long and really good, like on most other maps. The one I kind of mentioned this earlier, from that choke area to the main choke over there, is really good. That sightline. Another one is if you're pushing C and the gate is open, you can kind of hang in this upper area and look everywhere pretty much. You can rotate right with a little bit closer there. Can be really effective and open up a lot of room for your team. Similarly on defense, you want to be contesting that sniper, so he's not allowed to do all of that stuff. So playing here is really good. Another sightline I want to mention is the one in the window on E. I would say that's the other really good sightline. There. I'm just gonna go there actually. If you are on offense and pushing E, or maybe this can also help your flank if they're having trouble and they want to contest E, put time on E if that's the plan. You can support them really well by going up on these windows and shooting anything that is contesting them. On the other sightline I would say that is where snipers like to play is near the spawn, looking at main, or looking at connector, looking here, like from that spawn area looking towards main. It is another sightline I see a lot of snipers use. That stops either the offensive team from going out of here and pushing E, or the defensive team from coming out of that spawn. You can play around here as well. It's kinda the same sightline as window, I would suppose. Yeah, I think those are the main sightlines that most snipers use on Steel. It's not a super sniper friendly map, but there are definitely points where he can make a difference. Otherwise you just want to play around your team, your combo, and counter snipe. For spy decloak spots, there are a lot of them on this map. There's a lot of sort of tricky ones you can do. You can drop on this roof like this and hide here as a defensive spy. But yeah, you can use cloak and dagger here, and if they're coming out of spawn there, you can just jump around and stab them. You can also hide above this little sign like this, decloak here, and should stab anything contesting. Just kind of playing around these rocks can be really effective as well. You can get up on the rocks. Oh my god, I'm falling off. You can play around the rocks like that, and if you're not bad, you won't fall off like me. Another thing you can do if you're holding A and you're on B, because that's just how I want to play. You can hide around these corners as well. Probably not this one because there's an ammo pack here. You might want to hang around here for a few seconds, then maybe go back to either of these corners. If you're using like cloak and dagger or something, hiding around all the corners like this can be something you can do. You can play on this barrel as well, and if they're gonna spot check it, you can just kind of jump like that and move around. Playing up there is something you can do as well. Hiding in that little house is something you can do too. If your team is defending B, you can kinda play a little bit more aggressively as well with those spots I kinda mentioned, and it comes to your team of where they're going. Or you can play more around the flank and on A if they are pressured more from there. You can kinda play with your flank and have them bait for you, sort of. If maybe the scout and soldier are picking here heavily, you can kinda decloak here, and stab them, etc. Just try to play with your team pretty much, off your team's distractions. But for other spy spots, let's see. Another common spy spot I see is on this corridor, around this corner like this. A team if they're pushing C, they will most likely be focused on just looking at the corridor, at the entrance. So you can kind of decloak here for a stab like that. You can also go up on these rocks like this. If the C gate is not even opened on defense, you can do that too. If they're pushing through the corridor and they're just kind of picking this, not really committing, you can drop down and stab anyone picking. Or if maybe the sniper is up on the C gate over there, you can go kill him, revolver him or something. Once your team is on like the DE hold near control, you have more room to do, or more room to go around the map, I would say. You can do whatever you feel is more important. If their combo or their main team, most of the team, sorry, is playing around this connector control, or sorry, connector main area. You can hang around D more. You know, you can use that drop down as well. I kind of mentioned for Soldier. You can hang around here, you know, drop down and stab anyone going through. An important thing you want to do as a spy on defense, I would say, is to sap the telly, because you know that will make the respawn times, you know, maybe about 5 to 10 seconds longer, depends on what push they're on. Sorry, on what point they're pushing. Yeah, if you're defending E, an important thing that you want to take care of is the sniper being in window. That's something you definitely want to focus if he's going there consistently. You know, just try to deny the sniper doing this. You can literally body block him so he won't get out, and just, you know, ambi over him. So make sure you're doing that as a spy if you're in defense. For offense, as a spy, if your team is having trouble pushing A for some reason, you can go around this back area, you know, decloak all the way back so they don't hear you, and then come back and stab anyone either peeking here, or, you know, if they're a little bit closer, you can just drop down from there as well and get the stab. Just decloaking on point as well can be something you can do to either get captain or kill anyone that's, you know, actively contesting from point. If the sniper's here, you know, you can call that as well, and if he's not dying, you can just decloak behind the rock. He will most likely be alone, so you can just shoot him. When pushing B, a really good thing to do, I would tell most of my spies to do, is just to make sure that they're alive to sap the sentry gun if it's up, or after the Uber is done as well. Now, wherever your team is pushing, just make sure you are in position to sap the sentry gun. It's so important on B. That you can just kind of hang around here on the back area. Not many people will come back. Some might for the pack, but you know, you can just kind of stay cloak. There's an ammo pack here you can use as well. Just decloak in here. You know, sapping the gun if it's here or anywhere on this area. Something good. You can decloak on the point as well, behind these little wooden things. Now, if their Engis has his gun here, it can be really good decloak spots. Or if he's there, you can also get on these little platforms, decloak above. You know, even if they see you, you can kind of jump around to whoever is not looking at you and stab them like that. A little bit more of a flashy kill. For C, similarly, if their team is sort of more committed to holding this connector area, you can decloak on the corner, or you can decloak like maybe below. Although probably not. No, I would say decloaking outside can be something good, you know, coming around and stabbing anyone contesting you there. I see a lot of spies are playing around this little corridor area because there's an ammo pack here you can have. You know, decloaking around the corner, if there's anyone in point, you can easily kill them. I would say their combo is a lot harder to stab if they're playing around this area, this connector area. The only real decloak spot you have is kind of here. And yeah, you can kind of try to go for that if there's a distraction as well. Once your team is pushing D or E, you know, if the defensive team is in control, really there are some good decloak spots here. If they're a little bit more aggressive, like looking up there, or maybe they just Uber or they're backing up, you can kind of decloak around the corner here, on this little cart, behind the cart. You know, in this little cubby area with the ammo and health pack. You can also decloak all the way back to this little corridor like this and stab. You know, there are some good opportunities here. You can jump on this thing. The other thing I kind of want to mention is if you're on offense on E, you can actually go into this little corridor as a spy and decloak all the way back. Like, you can even pretend to like be a spawner or something, maybe not go for a stab right away, you know, just kind of act, get the ammo pack if necessary, and, you know, then go for anything contested here. For demo stick traps, there are some interesting ones on this map. For A, we kind of talked about this quickly, but you know, you can just put traps on these little corners like this, you know, kill whoever is on point. You can actually, there's actually clips too, so you can put stickies on the hook. And you know, if there's people capping, if you place them correctly, a little bit above, you know, they won't be able to really see them as they're walking in. You know, most people don't really look up too much, won't really look at the hook, so you can maybe kill someone like that. You can put stickers, you know, above the, oh, that messed me up. The, of the entrance here. For B, there are a lot of good traps as well. If you know there's people coming drop down, you know, you can just put stickers above like this. Now on this little choke as well. Probably don't want to go too far inside here because you might get sniped. So just kind of put traps over there, I would say. If you have a lot of people kind of peeking from this right side here, you can put stickers above them. Or you know, if they're gonna drop down, just gonna put in stickers there, and even if they Uber, you know, they will be pushed forward into your team, and will most likely lose the flash or the Uber quickly, and you can kill them like that. Backing out of B, you can put traps here as well. I see this as a very common strategy. You know, either here, around the corner like this. You know, it can all be pretty effective. You know, backing up, you can put stickers there, etc. You can even, if you're feeling kinda, you know, tricky, you can put stickers below this grate. They might not see them, maybe they will, you know, as they're walking through them, but you know, something you can try. You know, putting stickers here can be good too if you're holding C. You know, you can sort of put traps there if your team is holding closer to the point, and just kind of spam pipes there. You can spam pipes toward the gate as well. On this sort of control hold, you know, I don't think there's any like super good sticker traps. Just kind of above the doors, the entrances. You know, that can be decent. Usually you don't really want to go like too far here, so you won't really be sort of allowed to put stickers like this. It's very unlikely, but you know, if you have time, that's something you can do if most of the team is playing around that main area. Yeah, in this point, you really just kind of want to sticky spam, you know, shoot whoever's coming in from either side, etc. Not really any good sticky traps here. For the offensive team, however, I kind of want to mention a spam angle you can do. If their team or the medic is sort of holding on this health flag or anyone there, you can actually spam above this little opening like this, and it will shoot the bullets will explode on top of them. You know, it's something you can kind of take advantage of. A weird map feature, I guess. So that's it for this week for Steel. Let me know if you have any suggestions or whatever, any comments, and thank you for watching.